Coming to you live from the Business RadioX studio, it's Franchise Marketing Radio, brought to you by IDS, an award-winning digital marketing agency that delivers integrated marketing solutions for franchisors, franchisees, and franchise development teams. Learn why over 75 brands depend on IDS's team of dedicated marketers and client service professionals to deliver a strong ROI on their marketing investment. Go to idsfranchisemarketing.com for a complimentary digital audit and consultation.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Franchise Marketing Radio, the show that brings you insightful conversations with industry leaders and franchise experts. Today, we have the privilege of interviewing Doug Willmarth, president of Mooyah Burgers, Fries, and Shakes. It's great to have you, Doug.
Hey, thanks, Rob. I appreciate being here.
You got it. It's great to have you. And so let me start with a little bit about the genesis. How did the brand come to be? Tell me a little bit about where things are going.
Yeah, well, we just hit our 16th birthday, and Mooyah was founded in Dallas, Texas, 16 years ago, with a simple vision of we wanted to make the best cheeseburger in America. And so that's what we're on. We talk about our mission as a company is to make life more delicious. And the way we do that is by outstanding burgers, fries, and shakes. And there's nothing better.
Yeah. So you kind of lead me to my next question. I mean, in the franchise space, just all you got to do is drive across your town and you'll see a lot of choices, right? So I know clearly there's competition for the community around your franchisees. So tell me a little bit, you kind of alluded to it, but tell me about the uniqueness of the brand. What kind of separates you and you guys feel is a little bit different than the other choices out there?
Yeah, there's a few other burger places out there, Rob, but what we think differentiates us, and I'm serious about the best tasting cheeseburger, and the way that we try to get to that is we start with the best ingredients we can find. So, there's nothing as core as the beef. We use certified Angus beef. That's better beef than most steakhouses use. So we're starting there. We bake our bread fresh every day. We, hand cut our fries. It's a 24-hour process. We hand make every shake from, premium ice cream. So, when we start with great ingredients, that's certainly the place that you want to begin. But the second part of it is the way that we handcraft them. So, we hand smash our burgers. We do that with fresh meat. And so that makes it a big difference when you make your toppings from scratch every day. That makes it different. I mentioned the fry process. Our team members tell us that making fries is the hardest thing they do here. It takes a 24-hour process. So sometimes doing it the long way is the best way. And so, we don't scrimp on that. But really the secret sauce, Rob, is that we allow you to create it any way you want. So about a third of our guests create their own burger. You can choose from any of our protein options. We got vegan options. We've got the choice of great fresh made buns. We also have gluten-free options and ice burgers, a ton of cheeses and sauces and fresh made toppings. So you can kind of create it any way you want, or you can pick one of the great Hall of Dang burgers or favorites that our chefs have created for you. So we think that if you combine all those things, great ingredients, handcrafted processes, and something made just the way you want it, that's going to be the best cheeseburger you ever had.
Wow. That's key stuff. I mean, really key stuff. And I was going to ask you about dietary preferences. I think it's kind of funny that we say burger place and health, right? Like maybe you ought to just steer clear, but not really, right? Like you don't want to, like you mentioned gluten-free, you mentioned some other things. I mean, I think that's awesome, but you got, how important is that, do you think, to kind of acknowledge?
We think it's important, right? And by that, I mean, if you have somebody in the family, we try to be very family or group centric. So if there's somebody in your group that's got a dietary restriction, that really affects everybody. And so we have a whole line of lifestyle burgers. The lifestyle burgers, if you're trying to eat low carb, we'll put your burger on an ice burger. We've got low carb options. We got paleo options, low cal options. We got vegan options, including our bun, which is vegan. We have a Dr. Prager's burger. So sort of depending on what, dietary restriction you have or what lifestyle choice you're making, we can pretty much accommodate you. And so from that standpoint, even though you're thinking, oh, burgers, that's very limiting, it's really not the case. So we think that's great. Even up until, like, for example, somebody has a dairy allergy, we're going to go ahead and cook that burger on a piece of tinfoil so it doesn't touch a grill that might have had dairy on it. We have a separate grill for the vegan burgers so that, we don't cross mingle. We change our gloves when we do gluten-free. So there's things that we do because we're super serious about doing things the right way that, people who are serious about their dietary preference can feel comfortable coming here.
Yeah, and I think that from a business standpoint, that creates an experience. I think I'm just going to tell you what I'm hearing and what I feel as a consumer, but it creates an experience for the people that go there. So you almost want to go there and hang out a little bit, or make it a Friday night thing, or hey, we can bring. I know from raising a family, it isn't easy to get consensus, right? So you have to be flexible like that, right? Especially if there are allergies or any other dietary issues. So from a business standpoint, I think it makes great sense, right? It drives more referrals, more repeat business, right?
So, yeah, we think so. Obviously, I think there's some people that, they're mass market and they're just trying to churn out numbers. They'll look at, well, there's not that many people in the world that have dairy allergies or gluten-free. The proportion of the country that really cares about quality or is trying to be vegan is small. And so they'll try to go for the mass appeal. And, that's just not what we do. We wouldn't use the quality we did. And, I'll give you an example. My family ate at Mooyah last night. My wife gets an ice burger with the Dr. Prager's veggie patty on it. And my son adds another beef patty, right? He's 22. And so he's like, yeah, and add a patty, right? So, you can get a 22-year-old, boy adding a patty, or probably a young man now. And my wife's next to him, having the ice burger vegan patty. We can go out and hit it fine, right? So that gives us a lot of flexibility as a family.
Well, I personally think you're hitting the mass market. I feel like your family and mine are representative, right? There's just a lot. Variety is important. Yeah. So tell me, that kind of leads me to my next thought is tell me a little bit about, I know the restaurant industry, especially the franchise industry brands, are very advanced in my mind, right? You guys really get technology in terms of running that type of business. Tell me a little bit about what's going on with you guys in technology. I know you have a rewards program and you're putting some effort in there, again, just to make the experience better for the consumer. And again, just to make it easier to do business. But tell me a little bit about how you're approaching that.
Sure. And, everybody in the restaurant business now, is trying to provide different ordering options and making sure that, however you want to interface with the company, however you want to order, whatever's convenient for you, that we have technology there. It's a little bit different as a franchisor in the sense that, part of my business model is, having a playbook for my franchisees. So, our franchisees are owner operators. They're often, the small town guy, maybe one or two locations. And so, we need to have out of the box items that work for them. And that is going to be easy for their guests. So in that sense, our team works really, really hard to make sure that we have the very best technology, but it's technology it's proven. They need to know that, we have a order ahead kiosk, or, we have a native app you can order on. You can order on the website. You can, order through third party, all those things. But, our owners, they just want to focus on serving the guests and making great food. So we need the technology to be seamless for them, and we need it to be super easy for our customers. And so that's, leads us to be constantly updating. So you mentioned, we just updated our loyalty program, our native app. Late last year, we totally did the user interface for our mobile ordering and our desktop ordering. And we're always tinkering. We have a kiosk ordering system. We're always tinkering with that. And so technology is an important part of what we do. It's not ever going to be the driver, but what it can do is take some of the friction out of, dining with us and running your business.
Yeah, no doubt. So tell me a little bit about the rewards program. I know the app obviously facilitates a lot of things, but tell me a little bit about what you're doing there.
Yeah, well, we made a change this year, not only sort of revolutionizing the the user interface with the app to make it cleaner and easier. But from the rewards program, we had been in a points-based reward program, and I would call that, maybe rewards 2.0, where, you spend, you get points, you get dollars off. And that's a way for us to provide, incentives for our loyal users and give them some rewards. But, what we heard back is, what I really love is your food, and why not just, give me free food? And so give me more options for the free food. And so we redid our rewards tiers so that, if you want to get a free drink, if that's what you like, you can get a free drink, you can get free fries, you can get a free burger, however you want to do it. You can kind of save up, and then what you get is free food. And people love free food. And so the reason they're coming to us because they love their food. What better way to reward a loyal customer than giving them something for free? And so we found that works great. Our customers really appreciate that aspect of it, and then we don't really limit them. So, when you get to the free burger tier, you want a free burger, you get the free burger you want. I'm not going to make you buy the kid's burger, or, hey, if you wanted cheese, that's extra. It's a free burger, however you make it. So, hopefully we're delighting customers with that and rewarding our loyal guests.
I think that's brilliant. I mean, it's simple, but I got to tell you, as a consumer, not every brand gets that right. I think just being incented to show up more, right? Like there's a convenience store locally. I won't mention its name. It's actually a good thing, but I go out of my way to get my gas, right? And I go out of my way to go there just because they make it so easy. They reward me just by showing up and spending money. And I think that's just so key. I mean, I truly do go out of my way, or I'll wait. I'll just do it tomorrow because I'm driving by there. And, so I think it's important because people will make that choice more often. And in your business, it's just maybe that family doing one extra run, you know what I'm saying, a month or something.
Yeah.
And
I think we think it's important, so notice that I'm giving a free burger. I'm not saying, hey, here's an item that we don't normally sell that you probably don't want that I'm going to give you for free. So we've all been part of loyalty programs where they're like, hey, thanks for being a loyal guest. Next time you order from us, I'm giving you free chips or a free cookie that you don't normally order from me anyway. And you're like, well, that's no good. I don't want that. Thanks for giving me that. But what I really want is the sandwich I always order. And so, I think Starbucks got it right where they let you pick whatever beverage you wanted when you hit the tier. And so, we're treating it the same way.
Yeah, well, hey, I love modeling, and they're a big company that has a lot of resource to kind of figure things out, right?
Yeah.
So, well, that's great stuff. So that kind of leads me into my next thought, and I know a lot of our listeners love to learn about franchise brands and what they're doing, and the opportunity too, sometimes to be a part of it. So, tell me a little bit about, how the profitability and return on investment, some of the just whatever you could share about the financials, but what does the opportunity look like when you own a brand or have run this kind of a business? What's possible? What does it look like?
Yeah, I think people get into the restaurant business, or let me just start that people who are successful in the restaurant business, there's something that gets in your blood about restaurants. And so, we are in the service business. Contrary to what a lot of people might think, restaurants are really hard work. And there's a group of people that just belong in restaurants. They love serving people. They love cooking. And so I think first and foremost, you need to be, whatever business you choose, it has to be a business that you love, that speaks to you. And I think the restaurant business is amazing. People have been connecting, families have been connecting, friends have been connecting over food for thousands and thousands of years. And as a restaurateur, you're right in the middle of that. So, it's such a great gathering point. It's such a connection point for people. Think about the best times in your life almost always revolve around food. And so being part of that economy and being part of making those connections, I think that people who get in the restaurant business, they get in there for that because they love it, right? And then, you have to be a good operator to make money here. You can do a really good job serving great products, but if you aren't really good and disciplined on the costing and the operation of it, you don't make money. And so it has to be that you're a business person that enjoys the art of making food and serving guests. And what we provide as a franchisor is a system for you. So, we're going to train people. We're going to have done all the hard work for them in terms of what are the system, what are the pricing, where should you be? How do you do this? We'll provide vendor support. We help with building a brand. So, we help with all the difficult parts so they can focus on operating and serving the guests the very best food they can make. And so it's part of the advantage of being with a franchise brand is you don't have to be an expert in all those things because I've got experts on your team. All you have to do is focus on being a great operator, and the people who are successful, that's what they focus on, being out in their community, serving their guests, and really, quite frankly, serving their team, because their team is most often who's serving the guests.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt that I just love franchising. Obviously, I'm involved in the industry, right, for quite a while. But one of the things I just love and always have loved is that, I don't think folks realize how hard a business is to start and run and build and make better. And when you start with a franchise brand that not only started and perfected it like the hard way, usually that's how it happens, right? Then they decide to franchise, and then you're almost polishing everything. You're auditing everything. You're making it better. You're uplifting it. And then you never stop getting better and better and better.
Yeah.
And then you plug people into that. And it's still hard work. You're still a business owner. You're accountable. It's hey, that's the great news. You get to own it. But all the obstacles that are removed, I don't think folks realize how, because I've done a couple different ways in life, and it's not easy. So, and I always, and I work closely with a lot of brands, and it is like the success rate of franchising is exceptional. Like there's skin in the game from both sides. Everybody's in it together. And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, I'm going to ask you a little bit more about, a lot of people do get concerned when they start a business, that somehow they'll get left behind, or somehow they'll be on their own too much, or not get the support, or sort of, be in an isolated situation. And that's like the opposite. I just share this one thing is that when we went through COVID a few years ago, we had interviewed quite a few brands, and obviously it was tough for everybody. But the thing I picked up on in every interview was that, I tell you, if there's any place you want to be in business, it's in a franchise brand if there's another pandemic. So it wasn't good for anybody, but that's the best place you could be because of all the support and collaboration that fostered innovation and probably some new things. But tell me a little bit about your philosophy around support and making sure you give your franchisees what they need to succeed.
Yeah, no, I think that's one of the great benefits of being a franchisee as opposed to trying to be an entrepreneur. If you're trying to be an entrepreneur, you're on your own. And there's so many aspects, as you spoke to, Rob, that starting business is difficult. You have to be a real estate expert. You have to be an HR expert. You have to be a construction expert. The restaurant business, you have to know how to manage a team and manage a kitchen, and you have to have great hospitality, and you need to be a marketer. And if you're not all those things, right, and there's very few unicorns that are, then you could run into trouble, right? And you could be a great chef but not know how to run a restaurant. And so what the franchise or does for you, and what the franchise model does, is they hand you a business system. And, if it's good, and what I encourage everybody to do, if you're thinking about, investing in a franchise, I don't care which one it is, what you have to ask yourself, once you look at, how are the unit level economics of that particular franchise, you have to look at what support am I getting? What are the tools? What are, who's the leadership? What's their vision? And how are they going to work with me? And just make sure that you're comfortable with that, because that's what you're buying. You're buying a support team. In many restaurant brands, ours is one of them. We have an operations coach that, flies around and, has maybe 20 franchisees that they work with. And they're in the restaurant, every couple of months, working with you side by side, looking at your financials, helping you implement programs. And so that's a coach that's sort of ongoing, helping you be successful, along with all the tools that we have and the people that you have at headquarters. So, that's like having a built-in mentor in the process to help you be successful. And the very best brands, to be honest, sometimes our franchisees come up with really good ideas. And so we're out there, and it could be a franchisee has come up with an innovative new way to do something, or sparks an idea. And then we're in a position to take that idea and share it across the system. So you benefit from the franchisor, but you also benefit from the insights and the abilities of all the other people that are franchisees in the system. If you've got a good, group that you've joined and that's willing to listen and willing to spread those best practices.
Yeah, that is so amazing though too. I mean, for any of us that have been in and around different industries, what you just said is not available any other way. And if you were trying to replicate that kind of support through consulting or joining a mastermind group or something like that, it's quite costly. And I think of my daughter and I watch a show, you probably know, Kitchen Nightmares, right? It's a rerun at this point, but with Gordon Ramsay, right? And this guy, he goes in there and he rips things apart, and he redoes everything, helps them with the marketing, the menu, and then he usually brings someone in that's there for a week or two. They're going to help you out. They're going to be there maybe with a little longer, and that's about it, right? But I'm just thinking, it's what you get with a franchise, but it's ongoing forever, right? And it's always improving, and you know what I'm saying. So you can't really find that anywhere. You can't replicate it. I don't think I'd want to do it any differently.
Even if somebody comes in for a week and gives you some insights, and the cameras are off, and then they leave, and things happen. COVID happens. You have challenges with labor that crop up. Technology moves on. Legislative things happen. We're always reacting to something different, and having to pivot and adjust the business system. Vendors, new vendors pop up, new technologies pop up. And so, we're out there vetting those things, working the solutions. To your point on COVID, we're trying to figure out how to support and navigate difficult situations so that, quite frankly, our operators don't have to worry about it. We're going to brief them on it. They know that they can focus on, running their operations, serving their guests, and being in the community. And I think that's a great comfort zone. The example, there's a case right now out there where, because of some legislation that happened in California, the pork products raw pork products aren't going to be able to be imported into California for a while. So if you're in the business of serving bacon, which we are, we now need to figure out, all right, well, how are we going to get a bacon supply? How are we going to overcome this issue? So, I've got a team now that's working on that, working with the supplier. But if you're an individual restaurateur, you might not even have heard about this issue, and you won't hear about it until your supplier says, hey, we are not allowed to serve you bacon anymore, and now you're scrambling. So, it's by the fact that, and honestly, these aren't isolated things. These sort of things happen and come up all the time. And, part of being in a system and part of a team is that, we're handling those issues for them.
Yeah. And just, you mentioned a little earlier, it made me think of, what do you see as a guy that's sort of in a seat that understands the business you're in? You understand the industry. Is there any trends coming down the road that you kind of keep your eye on? Anything you wonder about that you're kind of getting ready for? Because you're talking about, that's one of the things is the franchise brand is always looking forward and making sure they're on top of things. Is there anything just in terms of the global economy or trends in terms of technology, anything that you think is relevant, or what are you kind of focused on?
Obviously we're focused on technology right now. We're in a moment where, there's been some really fast advances and visible advances in AI and in robotics. And there's a lot of question about, how is that going to be deployed in a restaurant? How is it going to be successful? How is that going to impact our society? And at this moment in time, Rob, I don't know that anybody really knows that. So our attitude, we try to keep our ear very close to the ground on technology. But, my position is that we want to be fast followers of proven ROI opportunities. So we're not going to be the restaurant company out pioneering AI, because, quite frankly, there's a lot better resource companies that are going to be on the tip of that spear. And, for every one that gets it right, there's going to be 10 that get it wrong. So we want to be behind the one that gets it right. And when there's an answer that starts emerging where there's solid return on investment for our franchisees, then we're going to jump on that. So, we're very cautiously watching what's happening in terms of voice recognition, voice ordering, how AI might help with predictive technologies in the kitchen, how robotics could help simplify some routine behaviors so that we can redeploy that labor out serving the guests. So the more labor that can be out checking on you, table touches, we're in the hospitality business. So it's really about how do we deploy people in roles that make a difference, and how do we routinize or automate roles that are repetitive that, quite frankly, our team members don't like doing.
Right. I was just thinking, if anything, AI might make us all happier. We can all focus on more human things that matter, right? So the minutia that a lot of that automation may remove. But you're right. It's interesting. And I appreciate your answer. I know that someone was telling me the other day, there are no experts yet. It's your time if you want to step up, if you happen to have the desire. But it's true, because I'm a tech guy, so certainly it's interesting to me. But no, there are no experts, and things are moving very quickly. So, but I love that what you said, because it's about business. First of all, I mean, if you run a good business and make good money, then you can do the thing you're in the business for, which is, in your case, serving your community and building relationships. Really, I know people think, oh, I'm in and out, but honestly, I would go to a place where I felt like the folks were friendlier. I could make a connection with people. I might even see the same face more than once, right? Like, to me, that matters, And I also think we all crave more interaction these days, because a lot of us work virtual or work in a way that we're not interacting like we used to. So like going to the restaurant might be one of your ways just to interact with people a little more. So anyway, I think it's important.
Call me old-fashioned, but I think we're in the food business, and I think we're in the hospitality business. And I think, there have been, a couple of darlings of, the media in terms of restaurant companies, and who have literally said we're a tech company that happens to also serve, pizza or sandwiches or bowls, right? And they pride themselves on being technology first. And I look at that and say, you know what, we're food first. I want to serve the very best cheeseburger, and I want to have great hospitality because we're serving people. And so, we're tech second, right? I want the technology to be there to support, doing a great job, making great food, and serving people. We can't get those things reversed. And if we do in our industry, we've forgotten what gets us here, right? Which is, we're in the hospitality business. We're not in the kiosk business. So, if we get to a point where, one of my competitors is able to serve you a burger, you can order it with AI. A little door will open, your burger will slide out, or a robot will deliver it to you. I'm like, all for it, right? Go for it, because we don't want to be those people. We want to be the people, that are serving you a great burger and asking you how it was. And so that's a little bit how we're different, to be honest with you. And quite frankly, my franchisees, I can't ask them. It's like, hey, I want you to invest in this drone technology that, is going to cost you $10,000, and I don't know if you're ever going to get your money back, right? They're going to look at me like I got horns on my head. So, we try to stay very grounded in, what we're here for, which is serving people great cheeseburgers.
Yeah. I think we're moving more back that way, right? We've all been enamored with technology the last 30 years, but I think we're all craving that human interaction, right? I think, and again, I know there'll be more automation on the horizon and all of that. There's no doubt, but I still think we all are still people. we like what people like. So it has been a pleasure, Doug, having you. Before I let you go, is there any final word or a place where folks can learn more about the franchise opportunity on the web?
Sure. I think if you just Google Mooyah Burgers or Mooyah franchising, you'll get there. If you go to mooyah.com, there's a link for our franchise page. And we're always happy to talk with people. I encourage folks that are thinking about jumping into franchising, or maybe you're, franchised and you're part of another system, you're looking for a great concept to grow with that's complementary. I encourage people, just have the conversation. Up until the time when you have to make a decision, you can always say no. And we're delighted to talk to people and talk to them about what it's like in the restaurant business. It's not for everybody. But we think we've got a great system and a great brand, and we're happy to tell you about it. So reach out, fill out a form, and somebody from our team will contact.
I appreciate it. Yeah, that sounds good. And I would encourage anyone, take them up on that. You learn a tremendous amount from these folks. So that's a kind offer that you would just kind of get people started and give them some guidance, because starting a business is a big life decision. So Doug Willmarth, it's been an absolute pleasure. I appreciate you sharing your insights. I wish you amazing success. And do you have one out here in Colorado somewhere? Because I want to go visit one. But are you out here yet or not yet?
Not yet. We're in Provo, Utah, and we're in Montana. So, if you want to head up to Billings or down to Provo, we can hook you up. But we'll come to Colorado soon.
This is definitely a Colorado kind of brand. I think you need to be here.
I agree.
Yeah. So it's been great having you. Again, wish you the tremendous success into the future, and I hope to have you back again.
Hey, thanks, Rob. Appreciate it.